Have you ever heard it said that a friend is someone who knows the song in your heart and sings it to you when you forget the tune? I think that's a pretty good definition of a true friend. And I hope that you have a bunch of true friends. Now, if you're married, I hope your wife or your husband is your truest friend, because that's really what marriage is all about, based on a friendship. But the Bible speaks of friendship, and that's what we're going to look at in this particular teaching. And in John 15, Jesus defined friendship as someone who would lay down his life for another. Proverbs talks about a friend that sticks closer than a brother. But think about someone who would lay down his life. In other words, he would risk on your behalf. I'm not talking about diving in front of a speeding bus to save you. That would be a very good friend. But I'm talking about maybe risking your disapproval to speak into your life if you have, let's say, bad breath. Because surely you don't want to offend people with bad breath, and so you'd be thankful for anyone who loved you enough to say, yo, your breath is lethal. You would say, thank you. Reminds me of Psalm 141:5. It says, a righteous man, a beating is a joy to a righteous man, something like that. It's oil to my head. Figuratively speaking, it means even a harsh reproof is beneficial, helpful, and welcomed by those who want to improve. I played 4 years of college basketball once upon a time when my hang time was a positive number, and I was a point guard for 4 years, and I shot a lot of free throws, and of course I practiced. And there's a particular, some basic mechanics to shooting free throws. Today we have people in the NBA that shoot them like that. They've shot them like that for years, and their percentage is low. Why? Because they're not changing the mechanics. Someone needs to come along and say, excuse me, broski, it's not working. How's it working for you? It's not working. You're shooting 50% from the line. You need to change it. If the person wants to really make a lot more free throws, then he would do that. And that takes us to Proverbs chapter 27, where there are 3 verses about friendship. And the first one is verse 6. The NIV says, wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses. The King James says, faithful are the wounds of a friend. Now look, if a person takes a sharp object and sticks you, it could be a surgeon or a mugger. They both hurt. If you don't have anesthetic, they both hurt. So how do you know which one is trying to help you and which one is trying to hurt you? You got to know who it is, what his motives are, what is his track record in your life, how has he behaved? Because if you don't go by that, you're delusional. So, wounds from a friend can be trusted. That's why I want to deepen my relationships with people, and of course that takes time. You can only have so many people that are just the ultimate friends to you, but the more the merrier, I say. And God has put a lot of tremendous people in my life who have loved me and helped me, some of whom I've listened to, some of whom I should have listened to, and others I'm glad I didn't listen to, because they didn't have my best interests at heart. So, then you come down to verse 9. It says, perfume and incense bring joy to the heart, and the pleasantness of one's friends springs from his earnest counsel. Now think about the sense of smell that this verse talks about. Don't you just love the sense of smell? You find some perfume on, your wife buys this perfume and it's just like Oh, you can't get enough of it. It's unbelievably edifying. Or if you like garlic, you walk into an Italian restaurant, whoa, something like that. Well, so it's a comparison here. So the pleasantness of one's friend springs from his earnest counsel. What is it like to have someone who loves you enough to be truthful with you, who cares about you? What a treasure a true friend is. And then you have verse 17, a really good verse. It says, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. And I think when this was written many thousands of years ago, or, long time ago, iron was the hardest metal known. And so what is it saying here? As iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens his friend. Now look, as Christians, we have made a commitment to be like Jesus. We signed up to follow Jesus. We said, you're my Lord. You know what? You have a leg up when you're dealing with Christians. Now you need to be tactful and so forth, but look, if you see me acting in a way that's not Christ-like, you know I'm not living up to the commitment that I want to do. So you have every right to interrupt my behavior and say, John, you might consider, you don't have to be abrasive and rude, but you might say, John, really, the way you just dealt with me, and I don't think it's like Jesus, and I know that's not how you want to be, and so forth. Man, we need people like this in our lives, people who care enough. They're driving behind us on the interstate. We're going on vacation together. They see us taking the wrong exit. They don't just let us go and then phone us later from the resort to say how wonderful it was when we're in Bug Tussle, Utah. No, they go beep, 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 beep. And if a couple of beeps might do it, but if not, iron sharpens iron. Does iron sharpen iron like this? One time, we're sharp, we're cool. Iron sharpens iron. What is the metaphor talking about? Or a simile, whichever one it is there. Anyway, that two pieces of metal, first of all, each of us is trying to get as solid as we can in our personal relationship with Christ. Then we must stay in sustained contact with one another. And then we'll be more useful. After a period of sustained contact with one another, we'll each end up sharper and more able to do what we're trying to do. And in Philippians chapter 2, near the end of the chapter, Paul is talking about his friend Epaphroditus. And these verses are so relevant, I think, to this topic of friendship because, look, Christianity is a team sport. I mean, we're in a war, but we're on the same team. And we need to be, we talks about fellow soldiers and fellow athletes. And I don't know how much you've played on a team. I've been on a team from birth until I couldn't find people slower than I was to play against. But there's nothing like being on a team of good guys playing a great sport and winning. And in Philippians 2:25 it says, Paul speaks here, and he says, but I think it is necessary to send back to you Epaphroditus, my brother, my fellow worker and fellow soldier, who is also your messenger, whom you sent to take care of my needs. For he longs for all of you and is distressed because you heard he was ill. Epaphroditus felt bad, not because he was sick, but because other people heard he was sick and he knew they'd worry about him. My gosh, that's a good friend. Indeed, he was ill and he almost died. But God had mercy on him, and not on him only, but also on me, to spare me sorrow upon sorrow. It hurts. I've lost some close friends in the last 6 months, and it hurts. Therefore, I am all the more eager to send him, so that when you see him again, you may be glad, and I may have less anxiety. Welcome him in the Lord with great joy, and honor men like him, because he almost died for the work of Christ, risking his life to make up for the help you could not give me. Folks, make friends, keep friends, live in honesty before the Lord and before your brothers in Christ. and you can enjoy the joy, you can have the joy of true friendship.